Hello everyone, welcome along The Rambling Rider. You join me here on a very, very cold January morning. It is absolutely bitterly cold, absolutely freezing. And this is my very first YouTube video. So I feel slightly awkward standing here talking to you through a lens. But we're going to go through what I thought would be a good idea for my first video on my channel. As a new rider, I've been riding 5 months, is the costs that you're likely to spend if you're thinking of getting into the world of motorcycling, which if you are, you should absolutely do it. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. I can't recommend it enough. So they're going to go through the costs of what you might have to spend if you want to get on two wheels from zero experience right through to your full license out on the road on a bike. But for now, it's so cold. Let's go home, get a coffee on and go through some costs. I'll see you back home. That's so much better. Right, welcome back guys. So you want to get into motorcycling, and how much does it cost you? Should you be doing it? Why are you doing it? That's what I want to discuss with you today. So there's a bit of background. I've been riding now for 5 months and I'm loving it. I love every minute of it, and I would recommend it to anyone if they're doing it for the right reasons. If you're thinking I want to get into biking because I can't afford a car, it's not cheap. We'll go through the costs in a minute, but once you get into it, you start like, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. Oh, I haven't done that. It's expensive. For my eyes, it's worth it. And then you've got, are you the right person to be on a bike? If you've got good road sense, maybe you've been driving a car for 10 years, maybe you've ridden bikes all your life, just never got on the road. Absolutely. If you're someone that's never really done anything other than get the bus, it's a dangerous thing to be doing on a bike, and I would recommend that you really think about it and consider the options, because it's dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get unstuck. It's not worth thinking about really, is it? So, costs then, what have you got to do? Now these are UK costs based on my experience. First thing I'd recommend to anyone, if you've never ever been on a bike but you're like, I really want to get into biking, CBT, which is your compulsory bike training or basic training. Compulsory basic training, I think it stands for. The CBT is the first thing you have to do before you can get on any motorcycle on the road in the UK. It's a full day. You basically do riding around on a 125. You can do it on a twist and go scooter, so without any gear, you just twist the throttle, or you can do it on a geared bike, which if you're going to get into biking, do the geared bike. So the CBT takes 1 day. You drive around a yard, you do your kind of basic maneuvers through cones, you get taught about the clutch, learn about clutch control, all elements of the bike, how to change gear, brakes, everything you would need to know to kind of give you that basic knowledge, and it is basic knowledge to get you going on the road. You then, in the afternoon, you'll go out on the road with an instructor, and maybe 2 or 3 of you. You'll be on radio so you can hear what the instructor's instructing you to do. And after that, you got an L plate, you can buy a 125 motorcycle and you're off. Now the CBT cost me £90. CBT was a really enjoyable day, thoroughly recommend it. And at that point, you might decide, I don't like it, biking's not for me, and then you wasted £90, but you know. I decided not to go for the 125. I wasn't going to buy myself a 125 bike, and then what I didn't want to do is I wanted to get onto a big bike quite quickly, but I didn't want to pick up bad habits by riding around unsupervised on a 125, because I know what I'm like, and I thought those bad habits are going to be hard to break. So next thing I did after passing my CBT, did a load of revision. I booked in and did my theory test. So in the UK, before you can get a full license, you have to pass your theory test, your module 1 practical test, and your module 2 practical test. So I'd recommend, there's an app I got, which I'll find the name of, I can't remember what it was, but it's really good. It's basically a load of sort of questions that you just go through, and it tells you, at the end, you basically just do test, and it just gives you loads of, tells you what you did wrong. And I actually found some of those questions that I was doing in this app appeared in my actual test, so that was like, winner. So I'd recommend doing that. doing that first, and then that's out of the way. Because as soon as you start your direct access course with an instructor, it's just going to be, have you done your theory test yet? Have you done your theory test yet? So if you go in, you've already done it, boom, bang, get straight in. Theory test is, I've made some notes, so let me just double check how much theory test was. So theory test, SIP theory test is £23, and that is paid direct to the test centre. You can do that online. I passed my theory test first time. I think had I not had the app and done some revision, I might have struggled on a few things, because there was a few things to learn, so I'd recommend doing a little bit of homework on that one. Okay, so you've done your CBT, you passed your theory test. Next thing you want to do is, what I did was a direct access course, which means they were 2-hour sessions on a 600cc motorbike with an instructor. I booked, where I did them, you could book them as a chunk, so then you got a little bit of a discount over the kind of total session price, per session price, should I say. So I booked on for what they recommended was 16 hours. You could probably do it in less, but actually I found it reassuring having those that extra couple of hours towards the end. Was just like, settle the nerves, make sure you had everything absolutely bang on. And those 16 hours do take into account some of that when you're doing your practical test. Obviously you're doing on a test centre bike, so that those hours count towards that as well. So it's not 16 hours full training, that does include your tests as well. So I booked my direct access as a bundle, like I said, so it's a 16-hour there you go, and that was £432. I think it's £60 per 2-hour session, if not. So yeah, it's a bit of a saving. So the first part of my direct access was kind of getting comfortable on a bigger bike, and it was all done on their kind of skid pan area. So it was off-road in a closed off area. It was doing manoeuvres between cones, basically everything you have to cover in your Mod 1 practical test. There's a gajillion videos online about what's involved in the Mod 1. It's not something I think I would have been comfortable doing. Well, I know I wouldn't. I couldn't have done it without the training, not to the standard that you'd need to pass the test. So the first few hours of my direct access were spent doing that on a 600, a slightly older 600cc, I think it was a Honda Hornet. And then, so I sat that, did that test, actually failed that the first time. I messed up on my, basically you have to do a turn in the road, so it's kind of, you have two white lines, essentially you have to perform a U-turn, and you're not allowed to put your foot down, and you're not allowed to go over the white lines. And I was so nervous, I was like, I've got this. And I was actually really good at I was annoyingly really good at the U-turn in all the practices. And I was about halfway through the turn, and I just suddenly realised I was going far too wide. I was never gonna get the bike into the line. I tried to, but just not enough, so I ended up just glancing over the line a little bit, and that's an instant fail. They make you do the rest of the test. So I did all that and got fine. Everything else would have passed on, but that one thing. So I had to actually resit that. So in my experience, for me, it did actually cost me a little bit more than what I'm going to show you, but hopefully you'll pass first time and it'll all be sorted. So the Mod 1 test costs £15. So not a great deal, and it takes about 20 minutes. So once you've got your Mod 1 done, you've got your test certificate for that, you're then on to the Mod 2. So the training for the Mod 2 again was all part of my direct access course. That was out on the road, and we moved up to bigger bikes as well. We're on 750cc bikes, newer, fuel injected. I think they were the Honda NC 750s, so they're absolutely fine, really good bikes. Not an exciting bike, but that's not what you want when you're on your lessons and training for your test. It's not a bike I particularly want to own now, but fantastic for what we were doing. So yeah, all on the road stuff, kind of what you would do if you were driving, having your car lessons basically. Just getting your road craft. And if you already drive a car, then I actually found this a lot easier than the training for the Mod 1. It's a lot less kind of technical and just more experience. And if you've already got that experience, then it's fine. Mod 2 costs £75. And obviously if you fail it, you're going to have to sit that again. Plus you're going to have to hire the training school bike. So all in all, it's quite an expensive mistake if you do fail your Mod 2. Fortunately, I passed mine first time, so yay. Right, should we look at some gear? So legally in the UK, the only piece of motorcycle safety gear you're actually required to wear by law is this, your helmet. When buying a helmet, I went to one of my local bike shops. So I ended up with, I don't know why I did that, but hey. I had a budget in mind of about 150-ish for a helmet, and there's loads around for that price. I think probably cheaper end, you could pay maybe 60, 70 pounds for a full face helmet. But for me, I'm sticking my head in it and I want it to be safe. I mean, they're all safe, but I wanted it to be comfortable, safe. And I don't know, I didn't want to look like a complete novice with the cheapest helmet and the cheapest everything. But obviously you've got a budget and it's expensive. So I had a budget of 150 quid. I tried on quite a few helmets and found one that I did like. Didn't love it, but you know, it was absolutely fine. And the guy was like, well, for 180 pounds, you know, you can get, you know, it's the next step up. And the main difference is the comfort. I was like, oh, I think I'm fine, but I tried it on. I was like, oh my God, this is so much comfier. And like a massive difference. So I was like, well, it's worth it. So I paid 180 pounds for this. So this is the Shark D-Skwal. I really, really like this helmet. I think it's super comfy. Quite like the design. I don't love it, but I think the design is good. It, you know, stands out on the road, especially in the UK where it can be quite grey and dreary, much like today with the rain coming down. So for me, this was a good buy. The only thing I didn't want was matte black. Basically, I thought, you know, worst case scenario, I'm lying in the middle of the road, middle of the night. I at least want my head to be standing out a little bit. Hopefully that will never happen, but there you go. And the other thing I wanted from a helmet was a drop down visor, which this has got. So that was 180 quid. And then that's your head sorted. So legally, you could wear that and a vest and some shoes and like shorts and flip flops and still ride a motorcycle in the UK. You'd be a freaking idiot, but you could do it. Right, so you got your helmet. Next thing I went was gloves. Now my budget for gloves, by the time I'd done the helmet, the jacket, the trousers, everything, there was gloves, and obviously you want to protect your hands, especially if you get unlucky enough to come off. You know, the first thing that's going to hit the floor is going to be your hands. So my budget for gloves was low, and I regretted it almost instantly, to be honest, as soon as I got on a bike. So these, I don't actually know the make of these. These are, and I don't want to, you know, bash these too much, but Schola Key Protect. I believe you can get these in Aldi when they do their motorcycle stuff. You know, like the special ad in the middle of Aldi. I think these are the same gloves that they do. I actually got these from a motorcycle shop, and I think they cost me about £40, and they're fine. They're absolutely fine. But as soon as you've had them on for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, like they just really start to kind of hurt in this part of your hand. And so I've upgraded these. I now ride with Alpine Stars SP8s, which these are brand new. I actually got these as a Christmas present this year. So these are so much more comfy. And UK, it's cold, it's wet. These are actually a summer glove, or like a 3-season glove. I didn't want to spend best part of £100 on some winter gloves that I'm only going to use a few weeks of the year, to be honest with you. So I've got summer gloves, and then I've paired those with these undergloves. So these are like a really thin, you know, just like a thin kind of warmth layer that you can really quite tight as well. And then you can get them underneath your normal riding gloves, and they sort of, it's not as good as having proper winter gloves, but for me, it was a better alternative than spending loads of money and then not having anything for the summer. So I've now got these for kind of all year round. Paired with these, I can ride in the winter. So cheapo gloves cost me 40 quid. Bit of a mistake. If you can afford it, I would bump up a bit, because you will definitely appreciate it later on. The Alpine Stars SP8s were £79.99, so 80 quid. So double the price, but worth it, 100% worth it. And then these little undergloves, I think they're made by Cross. I'll check. Bear with me. I still have the packaging because these again, weren't new for Christmas. Knox, I apologise, not Cross. Don't know where I got that from. Knox undergloves were 20 quid. I might use them, you know, half a dozen times a year, but they'll be dead handy. And they're small, they pack up nice and small, so they just go in my jacket pocket. So that's gloves. All right, so we've done gloves. Next thing you're gonna need is a jacket. Snazzy. So I've got the, I'm not gonna zip it up because I'm wearing this mic here, so it'll destroy that a little bit, but it's the Alpine Stars Gunner jacket. I really like this jacket. Hopefully it's not too rustly on the camera there. It's a textile jacket, fully waterproof to a point. I mean, obviously you're out for all day in the rain, you are going to eventually get wet through, but certainly it's going to be drier than a leather jacket. I wanted textile because mainly it was cheaper, it was more within my budget than a leather jacket. And again, I'm in the UK, I wanted that kind of waterproofness. Some nice features on this. It has got a really nice thermal liner, makes it a really comfy jacket to wear, but zip that out in the summer and it's quite a nice lightweight jacket. It's got the shoulder and the elbow protection built in. Doesn't come with any back protection. It has a little kind of crappy piece of foam in the back, which was a bit disappointing, but I replaced that with, let me check my notes because I can't remember what it's called. The Alpine Stars Nucleon KR21 back protector, which cost me 40 quid, but it's an actual decent back protector that slots straight in. It's designed to go in a lot of the Alpine Stars jackets. To me, 40 quid if you do come off and you want to protect your back essentially. So whatever you can do to protect it, I think 40 quid is money well spent. So this jacket was £180, so 180 plus the 40 for the back protector puts this at £220 for this setup. So again, it's not the cheapest. Has got some nice features. It's got anywhere it says kind of Alpine Stars, or you see these sort of grey areas, that's all reflective material. So at night you do stand out a little bit more. It's got a really nice waterproof zipped pocket here. Great for your phone or wallet or whatever you want to put in there. But yeah, I'm not going to do a full review on this jacket or anything, but I really like it. Again, it's a nice fit, it's comfortable, so winner. So we're done jacket. Next, you're going to need some trousers. So again, like I mentioned before, you go into the shop to buy all this stuff in one hit, it gets really expensive really quick. So the trousers were something that I put towards sort of the bottom end of my budget. These are absolutely fine. They will go over your jeans or whatever trousers you're wearing. They've got a thermal liner which can be removed for the warmer months. Got some nice hip and knee protection. These are, if you're interested, RK Sports. I don't know what particular like model, if you like, what they are, but they're going to be the cheapest basically. I think these cost me about 45 or 50 pounds. I don't exactly remember how much they were, but they were certainly the budget end. They're absolutely fine, they're comfortable. I'm thinking we're sort of once we head towards spring a little bit, I'm going to upgrade to, I think, just a pair of nice riding jeans, certainly for my commute to work, so only a couple of miles, and then if I go any further, do longer rides, then I've still got these to kind of fall back on. Okay, so we've done trousers. Last thing is your feet, so you're going to want some decent boots on your feet. Now during my CBT, the instructors were like, riding boots are expensive, obviously, I'm not expecting everyone to come in riding boots, but they recommended walking boots. And I already had a really nice decent pair of walking boots, so that's what I ride in still. I'm still in walking boots. You just want something that laces up around the ankle, that you can do up nice and tight, so worst case, you do come off your bike, you've got a little bit of ankle protection, and they're not going to come flying off and leave you barefoot on the road. So obviously things like trainers, anything like that, they're just gonna, if you're flying through the air, they're just gonna go everywhere. So I've had a look online, just kind of budget walking boots, waterproof, 45 quid-ish would get you something that would be more than adequate. So that's what I'm budgeting on this video, is £45 for some footwear, but obviously if you want to go into the riding boot, then you're going to be looking at 150 plus, I would say, for anything that's sort of half decent in the riding boots. Right, so you got your full license, you're all kitted up and geared up, you just need a bike. This coming year, I'm going to upgrade my bike to something a lot newer, but for the first 6 months, especially as it was coming into winter as well, I thought if there's ever a time I'm just going to drop it, lay a bike down, it's now really. So I spent £1,000 on a 2000 Suzuki SV650, and it's been great. It only done 13,000 miles. I bought it from a dealer. I think they had it advertised at 1,200, but I got it for £1,000. And as a kind of starter bike, it's absolutely great. It's a V-twin, so it's got loads of pull, sort of in the low revs, really torquey engine, but it's really manageable. It's not something that I'm scared of. A bit getting used to when you first get on it. It's a big bike. You're out by yourself. It's exciting, but it's a really manageable bike. And I'm not precious of it. It's a bit of a pig. When I got it anyway, it was a bit of a pig to look at. Paintwork was terrible. I've modified it and done a few things to it, just to kind of learn about the bike, really taking things off, painting them up, putting them back on. I probably haven't added any value to the bike, but I have really enjoyed doing that and learning about it. So now I've got a bike that I'm quite proud of riding around on. Obviously, in terms of costs, it's going to be really difficult to say you need to spend this much on a bike. But from my experience, based on what I did, I budgeted £1,000 for a bike, and that's what I got, and it's been spot on. So, bike, £1,000, and then you need some insurance. And again, this is going to be very personal to you, depending on how old you are, how much experience you've got. It's probably none if you're watching this video. Where you live, where the bike's going to be kept, blah, blah, blah. If you've got any other offences, driving offences, whatever. My insurance just went third-party fire and theft because of the age of the bike. I just thought if I write it off, it's £1,000, but it's probably going to cost me almost that in insurance to get it fully comp. So my insurance cost me £235. That was with Principal Insurance. Only reason I went with them is because they were the cheapest. I think I did one of the comparison sites, and they were the cheapest. And then the other thing was tax. So obviously in the UK you have to road tax any vehicle. So my road tax for the SV650 was 85 quid for the year. So not too bad. Right, so let's add all that up and see where we're getting to. Okay, so lessons and tests. Sort of doing similar thing to what I did with the buying in bulk and getting that little saving there. And obviously assuming you pass your tests first time, lessons and tests cost £635. Gear, so my helmet, gloves, jacket, boots, the initial kind of setup I got cost me £535. And then getting a bike on the road, obviously taxed and insured, cost me £1,325. So that in total, getting me from complete novice, never really been on a bike on the road ever, to fully licensed, able to go out on any bike I can afford, essentially, cost me £2,495. So £2,500 to be a kind of fully fledged motorcyclist in the UK. Money well spent, in my opinion. So is it worth it? 100% absolutely worth it. Like I said, the joy of actually being out on a bike, just the littlest things of seeing a biker coming the other way and just the knowing nod, or even the wave. It's just such a nice community. I think bikers get a bit of a reputation as being hooligans and riding around doing wheelies everywhere, and that does happen. Believe me, I was passed the other day with some guy on his back wheel, and if that's you, that's you. It's 100% not me. It's not what it scares the hell out of me, to be honest. So I absolutely loved the community. I was in a little tea room just after I passed my test. I went out for a little ride out into the country and stopped off, a cup of tea, and I'm in there with obviously my helmet under my arm, and there was just an old couple at the table, and I could see them looking at me, and I thought, oh dear, I've upset them by parking my bike outside. And the lady was like, so what bike have you got? And I was like, oh, Suzuki SV650, and just passed my test. And I had a chat with these couple who were probably in their 70s for about a good 20 minutes, and her husband, he was into bikes and was a biker, and she spent a lifetime on the backs of bikes going around the country with him. So it just opens up so many conversations and things that I hadn't really considered would be part of my biking world, and they're all those little extras that to me are it's just brilliant. And maybe that's a UK thing, I don't know, but for me it's just brilliant. It's one of the best things I've definitely done with my time and my money, so I have no regrets at all. I would recommend it to to anyone who wants to do it. It's a fantastic hobby to have. So for now, that's it from me then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful, useful, and not too awkward from me. It's my first time, as I mentioned before, it's my first video, so I'm still kind of trying to get over that looking at the camera thing, which hopefully will get better. I've got more videos planned. As I said, I'm planning on replacing my SV650 in the new year. So the next few months, be some test rides of new options and going out and do some more sort of vlogging, which is what I was planning on doing today, but the lovely British weather has decided to hoy it down, so I thought stay in the kitchen and have a cup of coffee. So hopefully this has been of use to you, and I look forward to seeing you again. If there's anything you want to ask me or see in the future, just leave me a comment below, and see you next time. Okay, this is a reminder to myself, you may have to do the bit about trousers again because you might fall off, you dingbat. Oh, how long's that been off?